If you're playing poker on the PokerBROS app, there's a club you've got to join, Button Clickers. This group has many vloggers in it, including Doug McCusker, who got me into the group, and I've been made an official affiliate. So, if you're interested in playing poker with me, join Club 21839 and use the referral ID 720791. I'm playing under the name BDM Professor. It is not going to take long to get in the mix tonight. The second hand in, we're in +2 and we look down at pocket kings. It folds to me and I open for $12. The opponent to my left, who has about $1,000 in a rack behind him waiting to move to the PLO game, then jams for $106 total. It folds all the way around to the small blind, who then re-shoves for $200 effective. There's no way I can fold. I just hope it's not aces in the small blind.
Crazy table, but
You wouldn't believe what I'm holding.
no,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I guess I can't even think about it. I have to call.
Wow.
I make the call. The small blind flips over ace-king offsuit and +3 turns over pocket 7, so I'm in pretty good shape, but I haven't been running that great lately, so I'm not necessarily crazy about going up against ace-king. I'll let you see the run out. So the flop seems pretty safe, 4-4-10, and I'm actually really happy that +3 shoved because apparently the guy on the button had pocket 4s and folded them. So the turn is another 10, it double pairs the board. The river is a 9 of diamonds, and we scoop this one in. There's a straddle under the gun. We're on the button with pocket queens. There is one call from an early position player. When the action folds to me, I bump it up to $25. Jason, who's a regular at Orange City and a super competent player in the big blind, makes the call, as does the early position limper. We're off to the flop 3 ways. The flop is deuce 4-7, so this flop doesn't necessarily crush my range. It actually probably favors my opponents more, but I think I can still be in good shape here. When the action checks to me, I bet out for $55, and both players fold. We are 5-handed now. We're in the big blind, and we look down at Jack-7 offsuit. There's a raise from under the gun to $5. I'm the only caller, so we're off to a flop heads up. The flop is 10 king queen with 2 clubs, so I flopped an open-ended straight draw here, and the action's going to check through, so we're off to the turn. The turn is a 9 of diamonds, so I get there. I go ahead and bet out for $15, and under the gun pretty quickly calls, so we're off to the river. The river is a 3 of clubs. It does bring in the flush. I think after my turn bet, my hand is pretty face up, so I just bet out $15 looking for a crying call. He does in fact make the call and tells me a jack is good. I show my hand, and I win. The very next hand, there's a straddle from under the gun. We're in the small blind. We look down once again at pocket queens. There are 2 callers before the action gets to me, and I bump it up to $35, and everybody folds. No one?
No one.
You don't want nobody.
I'm only playing the premiums.
That's just me. You got swing, you don't.
In a hand that's very indicative of the way I've been playing and the luck I've been having lately, we're on the button, and we look down at queen 8 offsuit. +1 opens the action to $5. +2 makes the call and it folds all the way around to me. If I'm going to play this hand, I need to be raising, but I just call, as does the big blind. We're off to the flop 4 ways. The flop is deuce 7-9, so I've pretty much missed here, but the action's going to check through, so we're off to the turn. The turn is a queen of diamonds, so now I've got top pair. The big blind leads on this card for $16. The player in +1 makes the call, and the player in +2 makes the call. I have the option to raise here, and I definitely think you can do that, but I've got some kicker problems, so I just make the call. We're off to the river. The river's an interesting card. It's another queen. The big blind checks his action before a +1 bets $25. +2 folds, and it's on me now. This is a dangerous card because I don't have a great kicker. The opponent seems very recreational, and he's only ever going to do this with a queen, especially when he raced out to bet in the way he did. However, that queen on the river makes it less likely that he has one, and he could be overvaluing a hand like 9s or 10s or maybe even jacks. So I end up putting in the raise to $65. I chose this size because it still builds the pot in case I'm ahead, but it shouldn't commit him to shove all in if I'm behind. Before the big blind can even act, he's counting out the call. So now it's starting to feel like ace-queen. He makes the call, and what does he flip over? Ace-queen offsuit.
Queen. Nice hand.
While playing at the 1-2 table, I gained a new subscriber, Coley. He's a very competent player that I've played with before who was asking me about the vlog. Subscribed while he was at the table, so thank you, sir. I appreciate that. We're in the small blind. We look down at ace-jack offsuit. There's a call from under the gun +2 in the button. When the action gets to me, I bump it up to $15. Only under the gun calls, so we're off to a flop heads up. The flop is jack high here, and so I lead for $30 with top pair. Under the gun pretty quickly calls. We're off to the turn. The turn is a 3, so it pairs the board. This card shouldn't really change much because I don't see him having any 3s in his range here, so I bet out for $60. Under the gun then jams for $107 total. It's only $47 more. I can't go anywhere here, so I make the call. The river is a 3, so now I've got a boat, and my opponent does not want to show his hand. And he tells me that my overpair is good. I end up showing, and he actually flips over ace-jack and we chop. That's annoying. I called the all-in, and he has a boat. It's not like he was sitting there with air. If someone calls your all-in and you have a made hand, just f***ing show it. After this, the game got really passive, and after about 30 minutes, it ended up breaking. There weren't any more 1-2 seats available, but there was a seat at 2-5. You know, the game I have no business being at. So I took it, and I bought in for $500. There is a button straddle. We're under the gun with king-queen offsuit. Both the small blind and the big blind make the call. When the action's on me, I put in the raise to $60. It folds to the button, who's got over $2,500 in front of him. He just won a huge hand where he flopped a straight over set, so he seems to be running really hot. He ponders a call, but eventually he makes the fold, and both blinds fold as well. It feels good to get a 3-bet through here and take down $30 of dead money without having to play a flop out of position. While this next hand's not a huge one, it's one that I'm proud of for the way I played it. We're on the button, and we look down at ace-7 of spades. Under the gun, who's been very active, opens for $20. It folds all the way around to the hijack, who calls. I make the call as well. The blinds get out of the way. We're off to the flop 3 ways. The flop is ace-10-9 with 2 diamonds, so I flop top pair here with a weak backdoor straight draw and a backdoor flush draw. The early position player does not slow down, and he bets $60. I'm the only caller, so we're off to a turn heads up. The turn is an interesting card. It's the 2 of diamonds, so it brings the front door flush in. Under the gun slows down and checks here. Feeling that he probably has a better ace than me, I don't want to play this hand passively. I do have some showdown value, but there are a lot of bad river cards for me that I don't want to give him for free that will devalue my hand, so I bet out for $175 to represent the flush. He does not look happy, so now I'm sure he has an ace in his hand. He flashes me the ace of clubs before eventually making the fold. Again, not a huge hand, just one that I really like the way I played it. We're on the button this time, and we look down at pocket jacks. There's a call from +1 before it folds all the way around to the cutoff, who calls as well. When the action's on me, I bump it up to $40. The blinds both fold, but +1 in the cutoff call. We're off to the flop 3 ways. The flop is jack-10-5 with 2 diamonds, so I flop top set here on this connected board. The action checks over to me, and I want to check here to keep everybody's bluffs in, but I don't want to give a free card that could bring in straights or flushes, so I feel I just have to bet, and I bet $85. Both players don't think too long, and they fold. In the last hand of the night, we're in the big blind, and we look down at pocket 10s. Coley opens up the action under the gun for $20. +1 makes the call, and it folds all the way around to me. I don't want to call and play this hand out of position. I know Coley can be doing this with any hand that's 9s or better, but he could also be doing this with ace-king, ace-queen, and maybe even king-queen. So I decided to put in the raise and bump it up to $70. Coley makes the call, +1 folds. We're off to the flop heads up. The flop is ace-6-3, so it's a great flop for my hand. Coley only has about $140 left, so I jam, and he snaps me off. Now I think I need some help here. The turn is a 7, so it gives me an inside straight draw. The river, a 4. Coley rolls over pocket aces, and he's going to win this hand. I played about 15 more minutes and realized that booking a small win is better than booking a loss. Plus, the action was starting to get really aggressive, and with the way the last few live sessions have gone for me, I was starting to play with scared money, and you can never do that. So I decided to rack up and call it a night. All right, so that's a wrap on that session. All in all, not a bad night. Pretty crazy to get damn near a triple up on the second hand. I had a decent night at 1-2, then the game broke. The only seat available was 2-5, and I didn't really want to be there. But I like some of the plays I made. And then the 10s versus aces. I mean, every once in a while, he's just going to show up with an overpair as well there. So the 1-2, we were in for 200, out for 395. The 2-5, we're in for 500, out for 464. So Booked a small win tonight. I needed it. If you enjoy, like and subscribe. See you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more poker content. And you can follow me on Instagram at 7cardflushpoker.